Sometimes, okay, when you are passing information to a function, you want a certain parameter to already have a value, something called a default value. Okay? Are we clear?
Yes.
Sometimes when you're creating a function, you want certain parameters to have certain values, so that if this value is not provided, the value you yourself have provided is going to be used. For example, we create a special function, a simple function here. We tell Python def we want to create a function. That's how you tell Python you want to create a function. Then what's the name of the function you want to create? The name of the function you want to create is person. Okay, so we want to create a function called person. That's the name of the function. Then this function called person is going to accept 3 pieces of information. The first piece of information is called first name. The second piece of information is called last name. The third piece of information is called country. And as you can see, the first piece of information, first name, and second name, there's a difference here. The third piece of information, country, has actually been assigned a value. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Country has been assigned a value as it is being created. As country is being created, it has been given a value. This value which you give to say, this is the value which is supposed to be used if a person, this function, if a person, someone uses this function person, then they provide us only with the first name and the last name. Okay? If they provide us only with the first name and the last name, we also need information about their country. But in case they have not given us information about their country, then we can use this information, country set to Zambia. Are we clear? Otherwise, these guys...
No, I'm not clear.
What are you not clear about?
What you're just from saying.
What I'm saying is, we are creating a function called person. Does this make sense? And how many pieces of information does this function require? From what you're saying here, for this function called person to work, how much information does it need, or what information does it need?
It needs 3.
Which one and which one and which one?
It requires the first name, the last name, the country, and the country has been assigned a value there, which is Zambia.
Yes. So this function person requires 3 pieces of information: first name, last name. First name and last name have not been assigned values. Okay, but the third piece of information, country, has been assigned a value, Zambia. This is so that for this function to work, it always needs to have 3 pieces of information. If a person gives us only the first name and the last name, that is not enough information for the function to work, because the function also needs the country where this person is coming from. Are we clear?
Yes.
Yes. Python is going to enforce the requirement, say, I've been told to expect 3 pieces of information. So if you give only the first name and the last name, Python will still need information about the country. Because the person has not provided information about the country, Python is going to use this Zambia as the country information, even when you don't come from Zambia. Are we clear?
Yes.
This value you have provided for country, this is what is called, this arrangement, country being set to Zambia, this is what is known as a default parameter value, especially the Zambia. The value Zambia you have provided, this is what is known as a default parameter value. That is the value which is supposed to be used if a person chooses not to provide their country information. Okay?
Yes.
If, on the other hand, a person chooses to provide information about their country, like, oh, I come from the UK, or I come from the USA, or I come from Italy, then Zambia is not going to be used as a country information. Are we clear?
Yes.
Zambia is only used
Yes.
if a person chooses not to give you information about their country. Therefore, Zambia is going to be used because Python expects 3 pieces of information. So, whatever first name you provide here and the last name you provide, we combine them. First name plus last name, we create something called the full name. Okay. Then here, as you can see, we print out my names are the first item in the list, which is full name, capitalized, then also the country. So we run this. So this thing which you call here, the Zambia you've provided here, this is what is called a default parameter value. That is a value which is going to be used if a person decides or forgets to give you information about their country, as we are going to see. So we have run that. So we ask for help on person. Now we try to use person here without any information. When you try to do that, Python tells you person missing 2 required positional arguments, first name and last name. When you look at Python, it requires 3 information, pieces of information, first name, last name, and country. But here, Python is telling you, oh, I only need information from you about the name and the last name. It's not complaining about the country. Have you seen that? Hello?
Hello?
Have you seen that Python is not complaining about the country information?
Yes.
It's complaining only about the first name and the last name. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Why do you think that's the reason?
Yes.
Why would Python only complain about the first name and the last name as they have not been given, but it's not complaining about the country?
Because country has been
Because
set
the
as-
values are given now.
Yeah, because the value for country has been given in the definition of Python. That's what is called a default parameter value. Okay. So if, on the other hand, we decide to call person only with Kenneth and Kaunda, so you provide the first name and the last name. When you do this, we have not given information about the country. Python says, my names are Kenneth Kaunda, I'm from Zambia. You only gave Kenneth and Kaunda, you did not give information about Zambia. But Zambia is used here because in our making the function, we gave a value of what Zambia country is supposed to be if no information about the country is given. Is that clear?
Yes.
Next, we change things around. Say Kaunda Kenneth, person Kaunda Kenneth. Then you get, my names are Kaunda Kenneth, I'm from Zambia. So things have been changed. And this shows you the disadvantage of using these things called positional arguments. Because positional arguments make a guess to say, oh, the first value I've given, I'm going to put in the first parameter. So to avoid the mistake of positional arguments, we use these ones, keyword arguments. You specifically say, Kenneth should be stored in first name, Kaunda should be stored in last name. Being specific like this. When you do this, this is what you get. My names are Kenneth Kaunda, I'm from Zambia. You can switch things around. You say last name Kaunda, first name Kenneth. Again, not providing the information about the country. That's what you get. My names are Kenneth Kaunda, I'm from Zambia. Is that clear?
Very clear.
Okay. This guy used to be the president of Namibia. So his first name, Heg, last name, Genborg, country Namibia. If you run this, says my names are Hegboth, I'm from Namibia. If you do the same thing but you don't provide the country information, yes, the first name is stored properly, the last name, yes, but it now says I'm from Zambia because you did not provide information about the country. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So, if an input for, let's say, a description for Zambia was added there, it would also display that.
A description for Zambia? What do you mean?
I mean, from since this is just an example, like
the Zambia is already here. We already put the value for Zambia here.
Okay.
We already put the value for Zambia up there. So that if somebody does not give us information about the country, that's what we're going to use. That's why it's called a default parameter value. That's what should be used if some piece of information is not given. Otherwise, if a piece of information is given, then that piece of information should be used instead. Are we clear?
Clear.
Okay. Same here. Person, Saido, Mane, Senegal.
Yes.
This, so it says my names are Saido Mane, I'm from Senegal. Then it says person, Saido Mane, country, Senegal. These codes are equivalent. Then here, now you start seeing something here. The first thing is here, everything is positional, right? Everything is positional. So things are assigned. Saido Mane, Saido is stored as the first name. Mane is stored as the last name. Senegal is stored as the country. That's the positional arguments. Then you start with Saido. Saido is stored as the first name. Mane is stored as the last name. Then here we explicitly say country. Country is Senegal. So the way the arrangement of things is, when you're calling a function, you can have these guys. These are called positional arguments. Positional arguments first, then keyword arguments later. So positional arguments come first, then keyword arguments come second if you're going to combine things. Same here. Saido, that's going to be stored as the first name, then last name, Mane, country, Senegal. So these are keyword arguments. These are keyword arguments. Then this is a positional argument. Of course, the best way to do things is this way. Where first name is stored as Saido. Saido is stored in first name. You explicitly say Python store Saido in first name, store Mane last name, then store Senegal in country, so that there is no guesswork. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what our functions have been doing so far. Just a minute. Just a minute. I need to plug in the. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So far, what you have.
Yes.
So far, our functions have got a very, very serious shortcoming. And that serious shortcoming is the fact that the output of our functions cannot be saved in a variable. Okay? We have been printing things. When you print things, you can't save in a variable. Something which is being printed cannot be saved in a variable. Is that clear? If you look at this person function, it prints. There's a print here. Okay? A printed output can't be saved in a variable, which is a problem. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to create a function whose output can actually be saved in a variable, so that when you run this particular function, either if you don't want to save the variable, if you don't want to save the result, it just gives you the result, or if you want to save the result in something else, it does that also. And that process is what's known as returning a value. So your function can retain one value, or your function can retain multiple values. That's fine. Okay, what you're going to look at is a case where a function retains only a single value. So how do you do that? For a function to retain a value, you need to replace the print with this. Return then whatever value is supposed to be returned. So we start with, first of all here, we tell Python we want to recreate our function square. So def square, then the name of the function square, then square is going to accept a number. Then what is this function supposed to do? It says return the square of a number. So here, whatever number we give to square, that number is going to be raised to the power 2. Then the result of this being raised to the power 2 is going to be stored in square, in SQ. Okay? Then at the end here, instead of printing, we say return SQ. This is going to allow us to display this SQ, or it's going to also to give us the ability to store this SQ in a variable. Are we clear?
It's clear.
Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, so help with SQ. All right, so that's what it says, return the square of thing. So now that you have created our SQ, if you don't want to save your output, you just say square 3. This is what's going to happen. You get 9. This is when you don't want to save your output. Okay, so it gives you, oh, the square of 3 is 9. But if you want to save this 9 in another variable, then you can say square 3. Then what variable do you want to save it in? You want to save it in this one, SQU, like that. So this time around, when Python figures out, oh, okay, fine, you have asked me to work out the square of 3, but at the same time, you do not want me to display the square of 3, but you want me to store the square of 3 in a variable SQU, like this. Then if you print out SQU, you get 9. So you can see, when you call out this SQU this side, it gives you 9. And it displays it because that's all you said. This time around, you can, the same square 3, it's going to give you 9, but the 9 is not printed out. It's not displayed. It is stored in this variable. Then you can print out that variable. Is that clear?
Yes.
Is what has happened clear here? Brian? Oh, Rachel, you're just alone.
He has just left.
Okay, fine.
Like maybe next week.
Okay. You can also do the same thing. Instead of here, remember when you do a square something here, this one here, power this, we store the result of this in this variable, then we return that. Yeah, you can do that, or you can return this whole thing here. You can actually return an expression, like in this case. So we make our square function, then we give it a number, then you can say return this. That still gives you the same result, because in this case, this power, the power of number to the raised to the power 2 is something, but you don't store it in a variable, you just return it. Then you do that with square, then you say square 4.5 there. Okay, are we clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this bit here we're going to skip it. Oh, delete it. Even this one we don't need it yet. We don't need that. Okay, so we're going to also redefine our subtract function. We're going to remake our subtract function so that it looks different a bit. So we're saying def, we're telling Python when to create our subtract function. The name of the function is subtract. It should expect the first number, then it should expect the second number. Then what does the function do? Here's the description. Returns the difference of two numbers. So this function from first number and second number is going to work out the difference. First number minus second number. Then that difference is going to be stored in this variable diff. Then we tell it to return diff like that. So this time, if you say subtract first number, second number like that, if you do that, you get 13. Then if you do the same thing here, first number, second number, I want to do this. I want to do that. Okay. So now here the difference, this 13 here is not being shown because now I've stored the difference in this variable called difference. The result, the 13, I've now stored it in this variable called difference. You see that?
Yes.
When I print out difference, that's what I get. So that is the advantage of creating functions with return at the end. It allows you to store the result of your functions in a variable. If you just print things out, then it becomes impossible for you to actually store anything. You can't store, you cannot store anything. Okay. Unless you guys have got any questions. Do you have any questions?
So far so good.
So far so good. Okay. This one we're going to skip it because there's something we need which you haven't looked at. Returning a dictionary.
No, for me no.
Okay. You can, okay, this one also we're going to skip it because there's something we need which we haven't looked at. Okay, here. Passing arbitrary arguments to the function. Sometimes you do not know ahead of time how much information a function is going to need. Okay? In the case of the person function, we knew that the person function needed three things. It needed the last name, first name, and the country. When it comes to the square function, we knew that the function needed only one number, one piece of information, number. When it comes to the subtract function, we knew that it needed a first number and a second number, right?
Yes.
In those instances, we knew exactly how many pieces of information a function would need. Okay. However, there are times when you do not know ahead of time how many pieces of information a function is going to need. For example, if you create a function called add, which is going to add a certain which is going to add numbers, right? This function called add is going to add numbers. The problem is when you're using this function add, you don't know how many numbers a person wants to add ahead of time, but you still have to create this function. Okay? Are we clear?
Yes.
You do not know ahead of time how many numbers this function is a person is going to use. So if you do not know ahead of time how many items a function would need, then you put a star in front. You just use one argument, like here, args, then you put a star in front. So this tells Python to say, okay, yeah, you expect something, but I don't know exactly how many. Is that clear?
Kindly repeat on this one.
Here, if you do not know, it's like you're holding a party, right? Then you invite people, but you don't have invitation cards. You just say, I'm holding a party. Then you don't know ahead of time how many people are going to show up at the party. Maybe 2 people come, maybe 5 people come, maybe 10 people come, maybe the whole compound is going to come.
Okay.
You see this problem? So you don't, yeah, that's the thing. You don't know exactly how many people are going to come. So in this case, if you do not know how, you're trying to make a function, but when it comes to the input, you do not know exactly how many people will show up. This is how you tell Python to say, okay, I don't know exactly how many people are going to come, but people will come. Maybe 0 people come, or maybe that will come. So here, that's how you do it. Then we'll print out how the information is going to be stored. Then whatever pieces of how many people come, you want to add them, then you get an answer like this. So let's see how it works. So help with add. So here, add 10. So here it's just one person who has come up, just one number has been given. So if you add 10, this is what it does. This is what happens to the 10. Okay, because of the star you have added here, this star which is there, that 10 is going to be stored like this. Do you still remember what this is?
List.
Huh? No, that's not a list. What is this? Rachel? This is a tuple. Then you add the things in the tuple, you get 10. Same applies here. The 10 and the 5, they are stored like this. They are stored as a tuple. A list has got square brackets. This tuple has got round parentheses like this. So the reason why it's doing this is because of this star. The information you're giving in this list, this special list which can't be changed. We don't know how many items you want to add, but once you've given the function those information, they'll be stored as a tuple, then they're going to be added, then you get the result. Then here 10, 15, 10, 5, 15, 7, 4. Same. So all the information, the 10, 5, 15, 7, 4, as you can see, is stored as a tuple. Then it's added, then you get your 41. Are we clear?
Yes.
So that is what you do when you do not know ahead of time how many pieces of information you need. If you want to store your information as a dictionary, for example, let me show. You can also use 2 stars in front. Now, for example, you want to create a shopping list, right? We create a function called shopping list. Then this function called shopping list, we're going to give it things. We're going to give it soap, then we tell it, I need 4 pieces of soap. We're going to tell it sugar, I need 2 sugar. We're going to tell it milk, I need 2 packets of milk. We're going to tell it this stuff like that. But we don't know exactly ahead of time how many items you can buy with the money you have today. Okay? So the first one is you don't know how many people are coming to the party. This one is you're being more specific. You don't know how much soap you can buy, or how much sugar you can buy, or how many things you can buy. So you put 2 stars in front. Now when you do this, what do you get? So let's create this thing called shopping list. So I start with here, for example, shopping list, sort. I call this, I do this. I need salt, I need 1 packet of salt. When I do that, this is what I get. The reason why I get this is because of the 2 stars I've put in front. What is this we've got?
It's a set.
Is it a set?
Yes, it's a set because it has curly brackets.
Yeah, but there's something which also has got curly brackets which is not a set. What is that? What does a set do?
It's a collection of items.
In a set, items are only allowed to appear once. That's what a set does. No matter how many times an item appears in a list, in a set it's only going to appear once. That's what a set is. So what is this? Is this a set?
No.
What is it? Here I want 1 salt, then I want 3 packets of milk.
Looking at...
Then I get this.
What?
Here 2 packets of salt, 2 sugar, 3 milk, 4 salt, 4 butter. What is this?
Looking at the brackets which are there, I would say it will be a tuple.
It can't be a tuple because a tuple has got these things. This is what a tuple looks like. You have seen that?
Yes.
This is very different from this. So you can't call this a tuple. These two different things. What is this? Rachel?
I think it's a list.
You think it's a list?
But the curly brackets for me, they change every...
Rachel, what is this? You have never seen something like this?
Hello?
Have you seen something like this?
Hello?
Yes, I speak.
Hello?
Yes. What do we have here?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. What do you have here? You see, this is a dictionary. Brian.
Yes, I've remembered.
No, you haven't remembered. This is a dictionary. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Because the reason why you don't know that it's a dictionary is you haven't, most likely, you haven't watched the videos during the past 2 weeks. You just sat, you haven't watched the videos, you haven't printed anything out, you haven't been studying. And that's where the confusion starts. Something which is something else, you're like, I think. The moment you think, it means that you don't know. The moment you tell me, I think it is a tuple, I think it is a list, it tells me you do not know. You don't know the difference between a list and a tuple. What does a list do? What does a tuple do? What does a list look like? What does a tuple look like? A set, yeah, curly brackets here and there. But what does a set do? What's the difference between a set and a dictionary? You don't know.
I'm still trying to memorize this.
There is nothing to memorize here. There is everything to understand.
Okay, from what I'm saying, like what I've observed for the Kelly brackets, if we have integers
Brian, you're not studying. Brian, remember last time I've been with you.
Yes.
So this thing you're trying to say, from what you have observed, I have seen this behavior before from you. You've just barely passed the 2 other courses I did with you. You barely passed with C, if I'm not mistaken. Masiche. Okay? And the same behavior, I'm trying to put in the effort, but clearly you guys are taking advantage. We'll try to do what we can. 2 weeks I've been sick. You didn't bother to read through your notes. So this guy, these 2 weeks he has been sick. You haven't bothered to look through these things. That's why you're telling me you think it's a tuple when it's not a tuple, when it doesn't look like a tuple. We need to pull our socks up. We need to study. I'm making these recordings for your own benefit because things are going to become more difficult. Things are going to become more confusing because these are the same things where you're saying you think. These are some things I expect you to use to do your labs, to do your assignments, to do your exams. Are we clear?
Yes.
It's not because I don't have better things to do with my time. I do, but I have to do this. I have to help. That's why I spend this. Your other courses, are people offering to teach you around this time, or they stopped?
Some have stopped.
Yes. But I still continue to push these things so that you can actually learn something. So you need to actually respond also than just saying I think. This I think needs to come to an end. I expect people to be studying and you guys are not. Clearly in these 2 weeks, you have not read anything, Yanga. Because there is no proof of reading. What a tuple looks like, you have failed to recognize a tuple, you have failed to recognize a dictionary, you've mistaken it for a set. The difference between a set and a dictionary, you don't know. Up to this point where we are. Okay, so you can give a function a list. Here, define footballers, gods, then you return a list like that. A function can accept a list. This is a list of players. This is what a list looks like. It has got square things. You give it to footballers. There, you get that. The list can be stored back or returned, and you can print stuff. Okay, so we're going to stop there. Are we clear?
Yes.
Rachel? I expect people to study, not just sitting at home. In my course, in this course, I go the extra mile to help the student, but at the same time, I also expect the student to go the extra mile to study these things I'm trying to present, so that you understand. Otherwise, with all the effort I'm putting in, there is proof, because me, I've got proof. Me, I keep recordings. I post them on YouTube. Say, I taught these things. There will be proof, so that when you get a 0, you just got a 0 on your own. Once you get a 0, me, I'm not going to increase your result so that it becomes something else. No, it won't happen. You get a 0, you get a D, you get a D, you repeat. The one thing which you should never beg from me is mercy. Don't put yourself in a position where you need help from me, because so far I'm going to do the best I can to help you now, so that you don't have to come in December begging me, say no, I've got loans, I've got these things I need to pass. It won't happen because I won't help you. I'm saying it now. When August comes, we write our exam things, you fail, I won't help you because I'm helping you now so that you don't have to beg me. If you don't want my help now, try in August and see. Then you're going to find out exactly the kind of person I am. I don't like showing that face. That's why I help now. So that you don't have to... it's not nice when you're asking for mercy from other people. Even people who are not gods, because you're asking for mercy, they start looking like gods, like, please, please help me. No, it's not nice. So let's avoid the situation of please, please, please. Because when you come to me with please, 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 after all the work I'm going to put in, I have put in so far, there is even proof that I've done this stuff, recordings, PDFs, I've sent everything. On your own, you did not study. Then you, at the end of the day, you come and ask for my help. I'll disappoint you. That much I can assure you. Okay, so we come to an end. We'll meet tomorrow. On Thursday, we're not meeting. So tomorrow is Wednesday. So we meet tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday. There's a topic you have to do. Then we'll move on to other things. Any questions?
Yeah, I think I need to go through. My network was really bad. So most of the things, like more especially at the end, I've not gotten anything.
Yeah,
once I read through, if I'll have chat, then
we are recording, so
you
you need to go to YouTube. That's why we're going to put the recording. So there's a recording of this stuff. So you have to go to YouTube and see it. If you don't go, that's me. That's the proof that I did. Yeah, that's the proof that I worked. The recordings which I put on YouTube. Yeah, that's the proof that I did something. Okay, so good night. See you tomorrow. Yeah?
Alright, thank you. Good night.
Okay, but then I wanted to ask from you. Have you been okay?